Okay, guys, so May 6th here. We're just doing an MT4 tutorial session, and I'm going to chart the markets for the upcoming week. So we're Sunday. Markets have just opened a few hours ago. And so we're going to just go through a few things since we have new traders that
Hey,
are just new to MT4. Yes? Did I hear anyone ask a question or?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's Mac. Okay.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're just starting here. So basically, try to show you. So does anyone have this open, like just MT4 opened? And it might look like something like this here.
Put your market watch box up and everything because that's where it's going to come out when they first open it. There you go.
Okay, so when it comes up, you might see it like this. You can of course right click anywhere on the chart, go in the properties and start setting all that up yourself, which you might want to play around with later on. But to make this easier for you and get you going, we'll share some templates with you. So basically, if you load that template, you'll have the same exact charts that I have, same indicators, and some that I paid for, so you wouldn't have to pay for them again. Um, I'll load a file here in the Forex Traders chat on Discord. That will be a zip file for my MT4 indicators and templates. Now, I only use a few on the current template that I use, and then the rest I try to do on TradingView because drawing lines and whatnot on TradingView is a little bit better because I can set alerts there more efficiently. So that's why I keep my MT4 for a few certain things, and then I do the rest on TradingView. But yeah, you can go change the colors and whatnot. This basically you can pretty much close the market watch here that Rev said. Whenever you want to like add anything to the to the your interface, market watch is where you would have everything, all your trading instruments. Navigator is where you have all your indicators and your expert advisors. So we'll go through that. But you can basically close those, and then your terminal where you have your trades and your account balance and whatnot will normally be at the bottom. Um, so right now, when you first join, it looks like this. To make it easy, what we'll do is you can all go load the a template that I've prepared for you guys. So if you are in the MT4 platform, you'd simply go on File and you would click Open Data Folder, and this will pop up. So basically, this pops up, and that's where everything is for your MetaTrader platform for that specific broker. So don't try to go find it. It's pretty complicated. It's pretty hidden in the background. Uh, so what I do then is I just open up another file explorer where you've unzipped the doc or the file and folders that I just sent you. Okay, so you take the zip file, you unzip it, you're gonna get two folders. You're gonna get this folder here exactly, this one. Now, once you get these two, all you need to do is you need to copy this and just paste it in the folder that opens up when you click Open Data Folder. That'll ask you if you want to overwrite the one that's already there, and that is perfectly fine, and go ahead and say yes. And then you would do the same thing with the templates one. Everybody following so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So once that's done, you can basically click out of this. You can X this out, we can close this. And what you would do is you would come to your terminal here, you would click View, and you would go Navigator, and you can pretty much click anywhere. I usually just right-click here on Indicators, and I click Refresh. So if you've added anything, it's gonna refresh, and it should give you all the list of indicators that I had in my MT4 folder, and it should have refreshed your templates here. Now your templates are here, just always next to the clock here, and I believe they're also in here. So if you don't remember the icon, you can simply go here. Let me see here. Yeah, at charts at the top, templates, and you can save and load templates there. So my template is already built. I can load it from here, or I can load it from here. And as soon as I click this, it basically brings up my chart with my indicators and whatever I want put on there. Now, for example, okay, just because you guys might want to play around with it, what you can do is this here is your templates, this here is your indicator list. So of course they have the basic ones like moving averages, Bollinger Bands, SAR, Shimoku, all those oscillators. You'll have your MACD, your RSI. So let's say we do want to add our MACD. Okay, we add it there. We can put the different EMAs in there that we want. We'll leave it at default. You can add levels, and then you just click OK, and it'll get added there. You can modify the colors by just right-clicking anywhere on the histogram, going into Properties, and you can add levels. You can play around with it, colors, whatever. Let's say, for example, that you, on top of what the tools that I already have on the chart, you would want the MACD at the bottom, and you would want to create a template so that you could load this the exact same way on each chart that you're going to load. Because notice here on MT4, you don't have to go looking and typing the ticker symbol every time you want to change a chart. You start with, for example, this chart, and then you just click on the tabs at the bottom. They're all loaded. So I'll show you how to add those as well. So this is the one we just loaded. So let's say you wanted to add an indicator and then keep that as a template so that you could load it on each of your chart afterwards. You would go in Templates, and you would click on Save Template, and then you would name it whatever you want. It's already in the right folder, and then you click Save, and then it's going to be in your list here. Same thing here. So that's an easy way to be very efficient at loading your charts. Now, just a quick tip and a reminder, MT4 doesn't necessarily save everything you do as you go along. So as you do work in it, once in a while, X out of it, completely close it, and open it back up. It'll save your stuff. So for example, if you're charting, like we're going to do tonight, we're going to do a full charting session, do all the charts on all the currency pairs that we have at the bottom. Well, at the end of my session, I'm going to close my chart, even maybe in between that, and load it back up so that all my lines, all my drawings are kept on there. So that's just a quick tip to save you some work. This here, this little chart icon with a plus is where you would add a chart. Now, this is the list of different menus or different categories of trading instruments. So you have your Forex majors. So the majors are these: Aussie US, Euro US, Pound US, USD CAD, US Yen, and US Swissy. Swissy, it's the Swiss franc. The acronym is CHF. And then you have all the miners. We're not talking about mining. They just are the smaller pair is the less important one. Then you have the exotics, energies, if your broker offers them. So that's oil and stuff like that, natural gas, bonds, crypto. So A lot of Forex brokers now will have cryptos, and you have the metals, gold, silver, things like palladium, platinum, indices. So those are the indices for the stock markets, futures, the DXY, which is our US dollar index, which is very important to understand if you're trading Forex or especially the US dollar. And then you have your commodities, so oil, coffee, cocoa, corn, all those nice things. But basically, when you're ready to go, you pick one, and it loads like this. You add your template, off you go, you're ready to go. At the bottom here, they'll all get added as separate tabs. You can just click the tab and move it around if you want to give it a different order. If you right click on a tab, you can close it. If you only had a few currency pairs or things that you trade, you could tile them or cascade them, tile the windows, so it would create like 4 equal screens and put them next to each other. But I have too many to do that. So yeah, but that's still a function. So I'll click out of that. And if for some reason when you go to your selections here, you don't have much, or if you want to make sure that you do have all the trading instruments that your broker does offer, the best thing to always do is to go in the market watch, so load the view market watch, and right click here and click show all. So show all will make sure that it shows everything that your broker offers or anything that was added since you last refreshed. Now there are some futures contracts on there, and futures contracts expire. So you might be trading a future and it expires and you're not sure why you can't trade it again. Well, it's just because you have to go get the new chart and trade the new futures contract. But yeah, you want to do that, especially at first, to make sure you have everything listed there, and then you can close it back up. You can load your charts from there too if you just drag it on. That'll change, I think, the chart that was there before. What's next to pound US there? Here, sorry. Just a sec, guys. Euro US. Okay, so you see how now, like I just loaded a chart and I had to scroll all the way back. If I want to prevent this from happening, or anytime you're in the past in a chart on MT4, there's a little play button here, and you can click on this and it brings you right back to where we're at right now in the price action. I'm just going to go check the chat here, guys, because I think I have a few messages. Yes, Alex, it's being recorded. And yes, you can use them on any Metatrader platform. Doesn't matter which broker it is. Okay, so that's pretty much it for loading your things. Then it'll be for you to decide which currency pairs you want to load. If you want to load cryptos, in what order you want them to be put. So that's the gist of it. As you can see, here you have your zoom in, zoom out, tile. Now I have a lot of pairs, so that's what it looks like. But if you had less, then maybe that could work if you had a big screen. And then if ever you press it by mistakes, want to get out of it, simple, you just maximize one of them and it brings you back. If you want to change the time frames, you can do it this way, or you can just do it this way. Now, normally these will be put like underneath, like this maybe. So if you want to make a little bit more room on your chart, I usually drag them up and put them all on the top lines so that it leaves more room for my chart. As far as that, if you want to put one-click trading, this is the box that they mean by one-click trading. So if I didn't have it on there, I wouldn't have a buy and sell button on my chart. So I normally have it on. This is if you want to do a market order. So if I click buy, it'll buy the size that I want. This is where you adjust your size. So 0.01 would be a micro lot. A micro lot is $1,000 worth of nominal worth of currency. So that's what you're controlling. And depending on your leverage, then it'll calculate the required margin that you need to do the trade. Normally, on average, if you're trading a currency pair, if you trade one micro, each pip is going to be worth about 10 cents. If you trade a mini, which would be 0.10 of a standard lot, so 0.10 instead of 0.01, that would be $10,000 worth of currency, and that would be $1 a pip approximately, depending on your account-based currency and depending on the currency itself, the currency pair. And then you can have your full lot. One standard lot in the Forex market is controlling $100,000 worth of currency. And then each pip is worth about $10 each on those size of trades. Now, I did, and I'm going to post again here, some tools from Baby Pips. If you're not comfortable calculating your own position size or what it means for you in terms of pip value or whatnot, there are a few calculators here. So I'll post it in the chat section. And for those who might not know what a pip is in Forex, it's basically 1% of 1 cent. So basically you see here, this is the US versus the Japanese yen. This is the exchange rate. So right now we're at 108.99. If we go up by another, so the 99 is the 99 pips. Now if we go up by another pip, that currency exchange rate would go up to 109. So basically $1.09. If you go see the US versus the Canadian, right now we're at 1.2857. You don't take into account this last little decimal point here, and it's also here on the price scale. You'll see that different currency pairs have different decimal points, different ways of being set up. You'll have to get to learn those. But in this case here, so we have 1.2857. If it goes up by another 43 pips, it'll go up to 1.29, the exchange rate. And if it goes back down and goes below the 128, so if it loses 57 pips or a little bit more, it'll go into the 127s. So that's what we call a pip. Are we all good on that?
I'm trying to take it in, but yeah, it makes sense so far.
Okay. Well, it'll be recorded, and we'll work on it as we go along. This I showed you the little play button to kind of show you how to get back if you scroll back into a chart. Now, if you have it pressed, which I normally do all the time, but if you do have it pressed down and you try to move in your chart too far, it will automatically bring you back. So if you do want to go see in the past, you want to go further back, or you want to do some paper trading, you take it off, and then it'll let you go wherever you want, like that. And you can even you can also use your keyboard arrows, left or right, and that'll let you move. So if you want to do some paper trading, for example, let's say I'm going to paper trade this, and I want to play the break of that line. Okay, let's say I do this. Okay, I see it breaks, and then I want to go see if my trade develops the way I thought. You can do this, and you'll be able to paper trade. And then you write down the trade that you would have taken. If it works out, you take your statistics, And you can do a lot of trading that way in practice. It's not the real thing because you don't have the emotions and the psychology that comes into play, but at least you can practice a lot of setups that way pretty quickly. Like you can do a few hours of paper trading on the weekend and get 1 week's worth of experience, right? So that's a good way of doing it. Now, a little bit different than TradingView. When you draw anything on the on the chart on MT4, you do have to go on it. You can't just right click because that'll bring the chart properties back up. You do have to select it, and to select it, you have to double click on it, and then you can right click, and you can go change it or delete it. So now I want to go back to the end of my chart, so I'll press the play button. This here is the next button right next to it. It's if you want to shift your chart a little bit. So this here, if you take it off, it'll put the price action right near the end of the chart. Now, if you start drawing some lines, you won't be able to see where they lead. So normally you'll leave yourself a bit of space. So that's what that does. Now here, of course, we have the different time frames, the arrow. The cursor here is a little bit like the ruler on TradingView. So let's say I want to calculate how big a move this was and how long it took to develop. So I'm going to go at the bottom, I'm going to click, I'm going to hold my clicker down, and I'm going to drag wherever I want to go measure. So the first, for most brokers, the first number that I see, like the 59 that's on my screen right now, is the amount of candles that I'm calculating in the move. So right now I'm on a 4-hour chart. That means it took 4 hours, 59 4-hour candles to reach that point. Normally what I'll do is, if I want to know the amount of time in trading days or whatever, is I'll just divide 59 by 6 because there's 6 4-hour candles in each day, and that'll give me approximately the amount of time that it took to make it there. Now, while we're at the move calculation, so you also see, if I go back and do this again, in the middle, so of course on the right hand side it shows the price level that I'm looking at with my cursor, but in the middle number, that's the amount of pips that the move made. So basically here you just take off 1 decimal point, so our very last decimal point. So because we have 3,878, we take off the last 8, and it leaves us with 387. Now that means that this move was 387 pips. So if you were trading with a micro lot, you would have made 38 bucks or so. If you would have traded a mini, you would have made about $387. And if you had traded a full standard lot, you would have made almost $4,000. So that's why we say that Forex can make you quite a bit of money if you know what you're doing, and the amount of moves, they're still pretty big, and with the leverage, they can be pretty significant. Now, at the bottom, because this is going to be something that's very, very important in Forex trading for you, and it's going to be different than cryptos. We don't have that yet in cryptos, but each currency pair has what we call an average true range. That you'll also see the acronym, and that's ATR. So the average true range is the average of movement that each currency pair does on a daily basis. Now, my indicator here at the bottom, if you have it loaded or not, but it gives you an average for different amounts of days. So the first number that you got is the 2-day average, so the last 2 days. Then you got the last 7 days, then last 14, 21, 60, and 180. Normally, we use the 14-day average, but it can still give you an idea sometimes if a currency used to move a little bit more and now it's slowed down for some reason. Maybe it's going more sideways, or maybe it's the summer trading or whatever. But you can always take that all into account. But one reason why this is very important in Forex is that let's say you know a currency moves, in this case, for example, 82 pips in a normal trading session or in a day. Well, if it's already moved 100 pips in one direction, do you think it's prudent to go and buy it in the same direction at that point in time in the same trading day? Probably not. It doesn't have much chance of making it much further. So that's why we use it to kind of know and gauge where we're at in a move in a certain day. And at every market changeover, which is at 5 p.m. Eastern time right now, those ATRs reset, and then you start all over again. So if you want to know if, like, for example, tonight, let's say we're looking at the US CAD, the market opened about 4 or 5 hours ago. So let's see here. So we opened here. So let's say I wanted to know how far have we made it on the ATR so far. I just used my cursor and we're at about 12, 13 pips. Nothing much, right? So still plenty of movement to be had on this if the market wants to. Now, can you see days where you have a currency pair that does double its ATR if there's big news or big events? Yep, that happens. Can you have days with moves that are smaller? Yep, that happens too. But on average, you want to go and play around with those averages or close to them. So I think that's about it. Maybe also show you how to, well, for example, we don't use the vertical line often, but you just click it. You click anywhere on the chart, it'll line it up. And then same thing, you double click on it, you remove it. Horizontal lines, trend lines here. So trend lines, the difference is in MT4 is you got to click and hold your clicker down and then drag wherever you want and then anchor it. It does have the magnet function and you can't take it off. Now, if you go a little bit further off, it won't anchor it to the candle. So you have to be just within anchoring or magnet reach, and it'll attach it for you. Same thing if I do it on top. For example, if I want to attach it to this, I just bring it close. I put my cursor above or below the candle that I want to anchor it on, and I let go of my clicker. Equidistant channel is a bit like the parallel channel that we have on TradingView. So I would just choose my lines. The only difference, you have to double click on it and then you can drag the other line wherever you want. And then you
can I interrupt something real quick?
Yes.
Before you go any further, everybody pay attention to the date and time at the bottom, because it's very important right there.
Yes.
Because each server is on your broker's time. So wherever your broker's at, like for JAFX, the server is in Bulgaria. So it's like his is right now showing 2000 hours is 03. It's 3:30 in the morning at my broker, or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry. So you got to pay attention to that down at the bottom, because let's say you get active in robots or strategies, you know, it's going to play out at certain times of when the market opens. So you need to be aware of where your market, if you're trading to London or you're trading Asian, wherever, New York, you got to know where your server's at for, if you're trading to London, where your server's at, where it's going to open and where it closes at. So that's very important there. All right, carry on. Everybody get that?
Yep. And the other thing too, while we're at it, because of course, if you look at time, sometimes what you want to know is when a candle happened, or what was the open, the high, the low, and the close of that candle. So you just scroll over it, and at the bottom left of my screen here, it'll show you the time, the date, and the values for open, high, low, and close. That's something that in TradingView they put at the top. So just little nuances there. So yeah, I prefer the parallel channel tool and our trend tool that we have, like our fib trend tool channel that we have on TradingView. So I try to go on that to do those things. Other than that, of course, we have the Fibonacci's. So same thing, and you can basically double click on the drawing line, then right click and go in Fibbo properties. You can add the different levels that we normally add. You can pretty much follow the same settings that you have on TradingView that I already shared with you. And if you're not too sure how to do them, maybe we can do that at some point, or just give you the exact settings that you need to have in there. We're working on that, by the way. You can change the colors, all that stuff. But I think if you're all used to TradingView, you can continue charting your pairs on TradingView as well. If you chart your Forex pairs on TradingView, I'd probably use Wanda for the feed, for the price feed. So yeah, that's the one you can choose when you load your ticker symbols over there. That's pretty much it. You can draw text. So in here, you write it down, it'll put some text. Then you have arrows, little signs that you can put on your chart if you want to point something out. That's, I think, pretty much it for that. You can change. There's also your options here in tools that sometimes you'll have to go into. You want to set up certain things like alerts and notifications, or if your platform disconnects, which MT4 does quite often, it'll always make a noise. And if you have your computer open while your girlfriend or wife is sleeping, or even yourself, you might wake somebody up, and it gets annoying. So either you put your computer on sleep, or you see here, connect, disconnect. If you don't care to know and get notified when that happens, just turn it off. Double click on it. So that's at least a quick rundown. Now, as far as putting a trade on a pending order, you can right click anywhere on the chart, and you can go in trading, and then you can do a sell limit or buy stop here, or you can do new order. That's usually where we go and put our orders. So by default, when you open it like that, it'll default to the symbol or pair that you're already on the chart. But you can, if you made a mistake or loaded the new order on a different pair and you want to trade something else, you don't want to have to change screens, you can do it. Then here would be your volumes, the same thing as earlier, your size. So here gives you the ability, very simple, to put a stop loss. So let's say I wanted to short the US CAD right now. I would do a pending order. Now you have 4 different types of orders. So in this case, when we want to short and the current price is above the price where we want to enter, then we need to do a sell stop. If, let's say, we wanted the price to go up to this current fib here and we wanted to sell there for a short, then that would be a sell limit. And the same thing for when you buy. If you're going to only buy when it breaks above the current price, then that's going to be a buy stop. If not, you're going to let the price fall down and you're going to put an order to buy limit at a lower price. That's how it works. Usually I'd say we use a little bit more of buy stop and sell stop. So that you put that, you put your entry price. So let's say I wanted to buy at 128.43, which is in about 10 pips or short. Sorry, about 10 pips from now. I would put that. Let's say I want to use this little swing high that we have right now as my potential stop loss area. I could do something like this. If you need to change something, so you see here I put 1.2867. The easiest way to not make sure you don't have a mistake in your order price is to double click so that you can select it all and just put in your number again. If you can go click in it, but it has some tendencies of, like, if you're not doing it right, you might think you're putting in a correct number and it might erase one of the numbers, add a zero, whatever. It gets a bit confusing, especially when you're just starting out. So always double click on it, just put back what you want it to do. And here I have to put 1 in my period, 0.2867. Take profit, let's say I want to hit the double bottom here, or triple bottom near it, 1.2810. So if I do place that and click place, it's on. It would be in your trading terminal that I don't have open here. And right on the chart, you're going to see your potential entry line. Okay, it's right here. And you can have those on or off. So if they're not showing, you'd have to put them on. This here is going to be your stop loss. It shows you the amount of pips and the amount of dollars those are worth for you. So you see here, my stop loss is 24 pips away. It would be a loss of $24 because I just put an order in for a mini lot, 0.10. And my potential take profit would be 33 pips, which is $33. That's how we put an order. And yeah, if then I can delete it, modify it. I can put a trailing stop. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. I don't actually want to do that trade. That's it. Okay, and we're out. And that's pretty much it. And you can also, if you're not sure, if you don't want to go through here to do the trade, you can go in here. Sorry. You can press F9 first of all. That just loads up the same box. Or you can come to Tools and click New Order, or you can simply click New Order here. So many different ways to do it. Any questions on the little MT4 rundown so far?
Yeah, I had that JawFX account open and I linked MT4 to it, but it says, like, when I look at it, it says JawFX demo.
Yep.
What does that mean if it's a demo?
That's because you probably don't have your correct account set up. Easiest thing is to go chat on the site with a representative.
Okay.
I think Namir had the same issue. So they opened you a landing account, and you need a real trading account. And then
they wanted some number.
Yeah, they'll send you a login number, which is your account number.
Great.
And then a password. And then you'll be able to log in. They also have to tell you which server you're going to log on. Like here, at the top of my screen, you should be able to see that my server, I'm on IC Markets Live 05. Like IC Markets right now on MT4, they have 12 or 15 different servers. So you have to be on the right one for your specific account.
Okay. So they'll be able to help me with that. If I use JawFX, but you were suggesting the Nawanda one?
Well, it depends. I haven't tried or looked at JawFX for Forex yet.
But if you got the JawFX, the server, there's only one server there. It's Real 3.
Real 3, okay.
But it's going to give you a number. They should, if you funded your account.
Yeah, I haven't funded it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, you won't get that until you fund your account.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's if I decide to use that one.
Yeah. But yeah, when you try to log in, guys, or if you think you're not sure if you're logged in, you need to go and log into trade account. That's going to be your account number, password, and there you have a list of the servers. That's it. And
Okay, that's cool. All right.
if you are connected to a real account, first of all, you should see your balance and your account information at the bottom in the trading terminal right here. And then the other thing, it'll show here that you're connected. And whenever you try to connect, and if it doesn't let you connect, or if there's something wrong, when you have your view terminal opened, you can go to the journal tab, and this journals every action on your account, whether it's a failed connection attempt, a disconnection, a trade, whatever. It's all there. So if you try to log in and you're not on the right server, or you have the wrong password or whatever, it'll tell you there. So I think that's pretty much it for right now. You'll be able to play around, and you see here, for example, I have a bunch of indicators that you can try out, load up. Normally when you load up an indicator, the bigger ones that are a little bit more complicated, like you see here, for example. Oh, and whenever you want to, like, let's say you wanted to delete all the indicators on a chart. Well, you right click on the chart, you go in the indicator list, and you click on each one, whatever. So let's say I want to delete that one and that one. That's all I keep. And same thing for objects. So objects will be anything drawn. So let's say I want to delete that, my Fibbo. Those I want to keep. And my next Fibbo. There you go. And if I want to add an indicator, I go in my add indicator function. Most of my indicators are in the custom section. And let's say I want to add, I have one here for double top, double bottom. Now I have to, when that pops up, that window, I have to click allow DLL. And then I click OK, and it'll identify those for me. Those are not perfect, as you can see. So that's why I use some of them and some I don't. But sometimes they're a good help to just kind of get you accustomed to looking at things, or just a heads up that it might be there. And if you don't think that it's the correct pattern, then you don't worry about it. So that's going to be it for that. Rev, if you want to talk on a few points or whatever you want to cover, I just have to run to the washroom for a minute, and I'll be right back, and we'll do some charting.
All right. I'm putting together a lot of neat little trinkets like indicators and whatnot, news feeds that will be printed right to your chart. Anybody interested in them, just let me know, and I'll get back to you with it here in the next couple of days. I'm picking out the right ones that I want to share. And what James don't have in paid MT4 stuff, I do, so I'll be able to share them as well. Anybody got any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody interested in trading Forex?
Yeah.
It could be some good money made in it. I mean, I'll tell you, it's but you got to be on your P's and Q's with it. That's the only thing that I want everybody to be aware of, is to be cognizant of what you're doing, because you can stand to lose a lot more money than you could in trading on BitMEX or something like that. So, trying to keep up with reading everything up here on the screen as well. So, who's going to be up with us this morning for the London session this morning coming up?
Tomorrow morning? I don't think I'll be ready yet. Definitely this week. With a small amount.
Whoever's talking that just said small amount, you're very low.
Hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. Somebody's
It's Mac. It's Mac.
okay.
Yeah, I said I'll check it out this week with probably a small amount.
Who's speaking the French? I can hear them as well.
Larley?
Yeah, it's Mario next to me.
Oh,
We're speaking the French. It's all right.
we.
Cursing and everything.
Yeah, Canadians.
Damn French Canadians.
I had some steak today with Montreal steak seasoning. Does Montreal have good steaks?
Yeah, they have good steakhouses.
Is that what you're known for up there in Montreal?
Well, I'm not in Montreal, but
Well, you've been there and the steaks are good?
yeah, I did live there, but I was young.
Oh, I got to try a Montreal steak.
But they
I'm
have some good steakhouses. If you do go there, let me know. I'll refer you to a few places.
I'm interested in that and trying out beef Wellington. I've never had it.
Oh yeah.
Do you live in Quebec?
Me?
Yeah.
Nope. In Atlantic Canada, New Brunswick.
Oh.
Like
How
we're
close are
like
you to America?
10, 15 minutes from the beach, from the Atlantic Ocean.
Ah.
I had a question. So a buy stop would be like basically, let's say I want to buy something. I want to buy Bitcoin at like 9,500, right? So I would place a buy stop there, and then it would, when it reaches that price, it would automatically buy it for me.
Yeah.
All right, and could I place a sell stop there too?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
All right, so let's say the price is 500, and then I want to sell at 550. So I would place a sell stop at 550, right?
Are you talking about shorting?
I mean, yeah, that and a buy stop too. If I could place a buy stop and a
Why
sell.
would you want to do that way?
That's called straddling, but most often what'll happen to Alex is they'll come and get both your orders.
No, like, all right, I want to buy something at 550, right? So I would place a buy stop there, right?
Yes.
If I think it's
But
gonna keep
okay, so if you want to buy it at 550, where's the price right now?
500,
Okay. So you put a buy stop at 550.
and then when it hits that price, I
It'll buy.
will get filled. Okay,
Yep.
and then let's say I think price will go to 550, then drop. I would place. Actually, never mind.
No, that's not going to work. Because if
Never
you
mind,
think
yeah,
it's going to
never
drop, what you can do, and I
Close
think
in reverse.
no, I think you're top. Yeah, but you can't do a close in reverse here because you wouldn't be in the move of $50 from 5 to 550, and it wouldn't make sense to, if you think it's going to turn at 550, to go and buy it there. What you can do is you can do a sell limit. That would, once it gets there, sell it short and then ride it down.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So-
you're probably not going to figure all that out tonight. So that's why I say demo trade, guys. Do at least a week of demo trade. It'll allow you to load your stuff up, learn how to do that, learn how to chart a little bit, how to place orders, and play around. Like, try it out, because I can guarantee you will fuck up some orders on MT4. There is no other way. Nobody does it right all the time, especially at first. You're going to fuck up some orders for sure. So what's going to happen sometimes is you're going to be like, okay, I want a short, and you're going to do this, and you're going to try something like that. And it's going to, look, I'm going to do this, okay? So I'm trying to short, and I'm putting a sell stop at 128.80, and the price currently is at 1.2852. I'm not using the right type of order. So you're going to be like, okay, why is this not going through? And for the first little while, you're not going to be able to figure it out. You're going to go chat with your broker and say, my order's not going through. My order's not going through. Well, that's because you're using the wrong type of order. The other thing is, I can guarantee you some of you will make the mistakes of not using the correct amount of sizing or volume. And you want to make those mistakes when your money's not at play. Same thing for setting your stop losses, like different pairs. Like you see US CAD is 1.28, but if I go to the pound US, or not the pound US, the euro pound, for example, this one is 0.8836. It's different. You have to put it in differently. And sometimes what you'll do is, like if you go to the Aussie yen is back 81, 84. So you'll have to learn to play with those. They're a little bit different. And sometimes you'll be trying to enter a euro pound order. And what will happen is you'll go here and you'll, instead of putting your 0.88 like you should, you'll be putting 88 point something, 0.37. And then you're going to try to place that, and it's not going to even pop up the button to place the order, and you're going to be like, what the fuck, right? So that's why it's not the correct pricing. So do that and play around, like put multiple orders so that you practice and that you understand what it means for what size and how much risk it would mean for you in dollar terms. On a demo account, you can do all that. You can place orders left and right and place different sizes, play around with your stop losses, your take profits, and you'll get to understand it a little bit more. But for tonight, we're not trying to understand everything about Forex or MT4. It's just kind of a basic session to kind of get you started, loaded the charts and whatnot. I would still encourage you to use TradingView. TradingView has some very good benefits and advantages. So use each tool for what it's good at. This one here, for example, I don't even know if I talked about it, but the template that I have on my charts is basically, and the most powerful part of it is the horizontal support and resistance. So that's this part here. I'll take that off. So you see these lines? Those are all your PSRs already done up for you. Now, I still encourage you guys that are not still comfortable seeing those or haven't practiced them enough to still go and draw them in the past and do a few sessions of practice of those, because the indicator is not 100% accurate, or sometimes there's one that it missed for some reason or whatever. It's really pretty good, but still you want to know how it's done. So in this case, though, the way the algorithm works is it goes and finds places in the price level where we had resistance or support. So it's going to create your PSRs, your previous support and resistance levels. It will indicate the amount of time that this PSR has been in place, and then the thicker the line, the more often that price was hit and respected. So that's how it works. And what's really nice about it is right now on a 1 hour chart, for example, well, you can go to a 4 hour and they'll already be there. Now, there's some from the 1 hour that may not translate to the 4 hour. They might not be there on the 4 hour, and that's fine. But this is an easy way to kind of find your wide open areas to trade where there's not much resistance or support, depending on which way you're trying to go. And that's where your easiest trades are going to be. But yeah, it does them automatically for you as soon as you change time frames, and it's a very good indicator. Like if there was one indicator that I would suggest you can pay for, that's the one. Now you don't have to pay for it now because I shared it with you. But if there is one that I would recommend buying, that's the one. So yeah, that's mostly what I use on MT4. So yeah. So you want to go through the charts and see if there's any good potential trades? Yes? No?
Let's do it.
Okay. So normally what we do is we start with the DXY. And if you guys don't have your charts loaded on MT4, you can always follow me along on TradingView or just listen. So yeah. So normally what we do is we start on the 4 hour because that's where the trends are established, our big boy traders, right? And we try to see a few things. Now what I like to try to do is every week on Sunday, I'll come on my chart and I'll erase everything. That's good, especially at first. I don't have to do it as much now because I can draw a chart in 30 seconds, and sometimes my chart are drawn and good. They could be good for the next week or two. But just for practice at first, it's a good exercise to every week just come and erase everything and redo it all over again. So that's what I do here. Now, if you don't want to fuck up the lines that the indicator gives you automatically, all those like PZSR and SPZSR, those are all from the algorithm, so don't delete those. The rest, the trend line, Fibonacci's, horizontal lines that you've placed yourself, you can remove. So as you can see here, we have quite the run up. The DXY you can find on TradingView, I believe. Let's see here. Can you guys see my TradingView screen? Yes, okay. So the DXY though, you have to choose the TVC, CFD TVC one. The other one here, the index won't work for you on all time frames. So that's the one you choose. As you can see, we already had something charted there too. So that's our fib trend channel that identifies the trend and within the different zones in the heart line. But yeah, that's the DXY. The DXY is the dollar index. The US dollar index.
Is that an Forex major?
No, it's the US dollar index. It's the dollar index. It's the US dollar versus a basket of currency.
Okay. So yeah, okay, because I don't see it on my MT4.
Yeah, well, you'll have to load it.
Okay.
It's in the futures section. But yeah, so you guys see my browser right now? Yes. So the euro is the biggest component of the basket that's weighted against the US dollar in the US dollar index. Then there's the Japanese yen, the British pound, Canadian dollar, and so on. Right? So that's what they're measuring is the US dollar strength or weakness versus a bunch of other different currencies. So it kind of gives you an idea if the US dollar is strong or not strong. So if this goes up, there's a high likelihood that the US pairs, like the US yen, could be going up. Now, as we can see, this is going down, and right now, so far tonight, that is also going down. By the way, guys, you can scale there too on MT4. You click and you drag, and you can zoom in, zoom out. You can right click. I think if you double click, no. Anyways, you can play around with that. So of course, right now, just a massive run up in the dollar index in the last few months here, or a few weeks. So now it may be breaking. We might have like a slight lower double top with the rejection wick, close in reverse, our bearish engulfing candle there. So that could be bearish. So what we would normally do is if we think it might go down, then we need to find the potential supports. Now, we already have our 4-hour PSRs written all over the chart, but we can also add fibs. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, as far as trends, I mean, it's not really in a trend. This is way too steep to be a trend, so I'm going to have to put it in the channel and just let it play out that way for now. If I want to see if we had reached previous fib extensions, I can do this here. We made it there, but a little bit further. So I'm going to try.
Interesting.
Okay, so fibs don't work, right? So you see what I did here is I just fibbed this leg here before our retracement, which was then a retracement of 80 at the 886 and our 4-month PSR. We respected that all over the place. You can see when it comes back to it, respects it. It's really good. And look at exactly where we stop. Our last shorter term fib extension, like can't get much closer than that. We're on the dot. Those are 4-hour candles, and it does the bearish engulfing right on it. Tries it again, that gives us a huge inverted hammer rejection wick, right?
You're on the 4-hour, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. Alex, you can put how many fibs you want on the chart. You can put multiple ones. My settings are set to give me the fib extensions in my fib retracement tool. But that we won't be covering that tonight. We'll have to go through that another time. Throughout the week, though, we should have a lot of time this week because it's not as busy of a week in the news segment of Forex. So we should have a lot of time to go through some stuff with you guys throughout the week. But yeah, very nice potential topping area here. Add a PSR, add a fib extension, broke the highly unsustainable steep channel. So we'll see what it does. So right now, if we think this is breaking down, then we could assume U.S. weakness. So we're gonna go to our next chart, which would be the New Zealand U.S. I'm gonna take off the ATB because it's hiding too much of the candles. So see here, guys, it's basically just a inversely correlated move compared to the dollar index. Now, this is the New Zealand US. So if the US is strong, which we saw here in the dollar index, then that means that if the US dollar is strong, the New Zealand dollar versus the US, the New Zealand dollar is going to lose value or be worth less, right? Yeah. I'd show you the pen example, and I might have to do a video about that, but that's how I usually teach live how to understand correlations and how it might impact the exchange rate. But yeah, so here, if the New Zealand dollar is strong, it might push the exchange rate up. If the US dollar is strong, it might push it down. Those are things that you'll have to play around in your head for a few weeks at least. It's a bit complicated. That's usually the most complicated area for new Forex traders, is to understand how the pairs move and the correlations or inverse correlations between different pairs and different things in the market. But for now, just start charting the stuff, and then we're gonna teach you the market dynamics. So if we zoom out a little bit more, no trend we could see here. We were trading in a box, so just sideways up and down in a big sideways consolidation, accumulation, distribution area. If maybe we wanted to see if we might stop at a certain point, I can always fib this whole thing. As you can see, we respected the 382 and the PSR here, went down, Now we broke through the 618. We came to test it right back. And so far, we probably would need to go test the 786. New Zealand US is a currency that doesn't move much. It's often something that the newbies can start with, because even if you trade it wrong or if you trade it badly, it won't hurt you too much. I don't see much on there right now. There is maybe a pull. Yeah, it's not clean. Anyways, so next I'm going to go to pound yen, so GBP, JPY, if you want to look it up on other platforms. So you always look for a trend first, guys. See if we're in a trending market. Doesn't look that way here, even if I zoom out.
Was this the British pound?
Yes. GBP, JPY against the Japanese yen.
So the pound's getting creamed.
Well, it could be two things. It could be the pound losing value, or it could be the yen gaining value in this case. The way you can know if that's been the case is you can go compare it to other pound currencies that are paired with other currencies. And if they're also all going down, well, it's likely that it's the pound losing value and not the yen gaining strength. Here, let's see. So I'd probably do a trend line like this. Yeah. Put a fib. So see, often what I'll aim for as either as targets or as important support and resistances are areas where I have a big PSR and an important fib level, right? You know those are going to be strong. And if you start doing those with the algorithm or just playing around, you'll see that they're pretty powerful, highly probable. I'm just going to see if there's, I think there's a possible, not that. What's that here? See if there's a possible wedge. It's freaking steep, but I can't do that. Yeah.
Falling wedge.
There's two versions I could see here. This one and the one I just drew before. Either way, it could very well come to this area here where we have the 786 and the 1 year PSR, and then jump back on. Now, what I do normally when I want to put an alert, because I don't really have that ability in MT4, is I'll go and draw the same exact pattern on here, for example. And you can see, what do you notice, guys, on my my indicators?
What do I notice on your indicators?
Yes. Or on yours.
You mean the oscillator, the MACD,
Yeah, the RSI and the MACD.
the divergence?
Well, one's super oversold.
Yeah, yeah, I'd see that.
Right. Okay. Well, that's what I'm trying to point out.
Oh, yeah, it's very oversold.
Exactly. And we're in a 4 hour. So what could we do? Want to check the daily if it's already oversold? Not yet, but it's close.
You want to look for a reversal point of this awful trend.
Yeah, possibly, right?
Yeah.
And in this case here we might have a divergence. Well, we do with these two lows, right? So we have this that's making a new low, and we have the MACD that's doing this.
Yep.
And the RSI that's doing this. Now, we don't have it yet on the 4 hour, right? We know the 1 hour can do that for a few times before we see it on the higher time frames. Now, here though, we're really, really oversold. We're at 18 on the RSI. And last time we were there was a few months ago in March, where we went to 24. So this is the most oversold it's been. I don't even know if we've been there in the last year or so.
Looks like a nice setup, potentially.
Yeah, so now I'm going to remove that because I already know about my divergence. Now the yen, the Japanese yen is always, and you can go on baby pips, and they have in the Forex course that I sent to a lot of you, they do have a section, country profiles, which explains the economies of those specific countries and how it affects, or how their currency is affected by different things in the world or in the economy. And then there's also a section for correlations. So what correlates with what? So for example, the Japanese yen, we often call it a safe haven trade. So when there's risk in the market, or when people get out of the stock market, or if there's geopolitical risk, they're often going to throw money at the yen, which increases its value. So in this case, if that were to happen and the yen goes up, the pound yen exchange rate could go down, because the pound is the value that leads the exchange rate in this case. When that happens, often what you'll see as correlations is you can see the stock market start to dump. So if the stock market's going down, if gold is going up, that's also a sign of a safe haven trade, or what we also call risk off. Risk off meaning they're getting it out of higher risk assets and moving into safer things like gold or the Japanese yen and things like that. So that's something that you'll get to understand as you go along. But I'm just going to finish drawing this. Now, does it really matter, guys, like the way I draw my bottom line? Yes, I want to be as accurate as possible, but if I'm looking for a potential reversal to the upside, then my bottom line doesn't really matter. Because if I'm going to wait for my break, hook, and go of the slope that we are going to go reverse through and break out of, then it's really my top line that I need to focus on. Now, you might want to be as accurate as possible for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is to try to figure out when it's going to squeeze out of the wedge. But even then, if you're a more conservative trader, you're going to wait for the break to happen first before even getting into that trade. So there's a few versions. But what I would do from here is then I would place an alert. So just right click on my line. I'm going to put an alert so that if it crosses up, and to do that so that it gives me a quicker alert, I'm going to go do it, let's say on a 1 hour, because it's only going to give me the alert once per bar close. Now, if I put it on a 4 hour, it's only going to give it to me once the 4 hour bar closes, which could be 3 hours too late. And sometimes on different types of strategies and setups, if I'm trading the chart from the 1 hour, I might drop to a 10-minute to put my alert. Once per bar close, or you can say only once. There's a few different ways to do it. I usually put it to the longest I can put. That's it. Create. It goes in my list of alerts. And that's it. So now we wait. You could also put an alert, like for example, if you're comfortable, let's say, in potentially buying at this point, and you don't want to sit in front of the charts to see when it gets there, well, you can put an alert on TradingView by putting a horizontal line at that level or just before. Like this, for example. And you see here, there's another thing in Forex which is going to be important, is the even numbers and the 0.50 numbers. So in this case, you see my line here. If I go and I put it here, we're almost right at the 147 cent number. Now those are important numbers psychologically, but they're also important numbers because of options contracts. If you wanna, I'll post those regularly in the Forex Traders chat for those who start trading, but a good place to go get them, and this this site here I would bookmark. It's forexlive.com. They're really good for news and analysis, but they also have a section here on the side where they show you, for example, options expiries for that specific day. Now, they don't always have it for each currency pair, but you go check them. And as you can see, they're all pretty much going to be even numbers. 1.19, 1.20, 1.21, 109.50. So that's the other thing. A lot of options contracts will end also at the half of a cent. So 109.50, sometimes the 25, but not as often. So you can see here on May 4th, which was Friday, we had $1.3 billion worth of options contracts on Euro US at 1.20. And then we had another 970 million at 1.19. Now, sometimes those are even bigger, and you want to keep an eye on those. But regardless, I'm sorry? Oh, maybe that was the video playing. So those are really important. And even if they're not in the list here, there's still going to be options contract everywhere on everything at those even numbers and those 50 levels, maybe just not as significant. But we always keep an eye out for those. So that also will provide some sort of support, at least temporarily, around my PSR and my 786 fib. So what I'll do is I'll go here, and you right-click your horizontal line format, and you can put the exact coordinates you want. So I want 147, and I want it as a green line, for example, because I may buy at that level. Whoops, now I'm changing it again. And what I'll do is I'll put it 10 pips above the 1.47, because what I want is I want it to alert me. So I'm going to put that line there, not that. And I'm going to put crossing up or down, doesn't matter. Once per bar close on the 1 hour, that's fine. So it'll notify me if it reaches that price. Now I can come back to my charts. I don't have to stay in front of the charts waiting for it to get there. And I know my plan. I know why it could stop there. And then what's going to happen is as soon as I get that notification, then I can come to my chart and say, okay, which would be the potential targets on the way back up? Well, of course, if we turn around, we're going to have that 2-year PSR that we're going to have to retest. And then let's say, to make this easier for you guys to see, if I do my fibs then from the top, and let's say this is the low that we have right now, just for illustrative purposes, then we're going to go up and see our resistances. Now, there's a few ways you could fib. You could fib from this little pullback and the start of your wedge, your steeper wedge, or you could fib right from the top. Or you could even do both and see if anything lines up. If you want to be more conservative, then this is the way to do it, because your targets are not going to be as far. Now, target for a wedge, normally at least the 50% fib retracement, if not the 618. We usually aim for the 618. Now, in this case, for example, there's a 1-year PSR. There's a few lines there too. Now, if my target is here, if I don't want to fight the 50 fib and the 150 even number, well, why don't I put it just a little bit below the 150 and the 50 fib retracement? Now, I could go for much more than that and try to reach for that. That's an extra 70 pips. But is it worth the price maybe reaching that and then turning around and me losing a potential 270 pips? Well, that's a decision that you have to make. Now, you could also use an approach where you move your stop losses every time it crosses a fib and retests it. There's all sorts of ways to manage your trade, and you'll have to figure out how you want to do it, what works for you. But sometimes just being a little bit more conservative, taking your profits, closing the trade, is the way to go. But there's all sorts of ways you can go back and look and wait to at least be, let's say, overbought on the RSI, at least on the 1 hour, before you look for an exit, things like that, right? Divergences, your candlestick patterns, all that. But this is certainly a setup that that we could look at probably tomorrow. Now, like Sundays, there's not much happening, guys, unless there's big news, and there's rarely big news because the banks and the institutions and the governments and whatnot that do the news are not in full swing yet. Like right now, we're in the Asian session, so the Australian markets and the Japanese markets are open, and at 3 o'clock Eastern time, London is going to open, and then later in the morning we have New York. The busiest and the biggest trading session is still the London session. That's where the most volume happens, and that's also a good trading session because at the start of London, you still have some trading from the Asian markets. They're still open for, I think it's an hour. So there's an hour or so, or a little bit more of overlap there, where there's more volume. There's two markets trading instead of just one. And then it's London by itself or Europe for a little while. And then New York comes along and trades. So yeah. So that's the pound yen. Thinking that's, and
Yeah.
you see, so what I do normally when I do this review, I go through the opportunities and I write them down. Okay, like these are some stuff that I was looking at Friday at the end of the week that I wanted to prepare for this week. So you can do it Friday. Now, what's nice about the Forex is that it closes on Friday night and it reopens on Sunday night, but there's not much happening on Sunday night, and Monday we call construction day. They're just starting to come, like all the institutions and the bankers, the floor traders, all that, they're starting to come back in, establishing patterns, seeing what they want to do for the week. And then you can start to see what they're trying to do, and you can tag along. So it gives you plenty of time. You can either do it Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. I like to do it like Sunday afternoon, or like right now, Sunday evening. I do all my charts, and then like my fibs are done, my big trends are done. Of course, there's certain things that I have to adjust along the way throughout the week, and maybe on the shorter time frames. But still, a lot of the work can be done when you're actually not even trading. And so you can take and once you become more accustomed doing this, like I can do my 20 currency pairs in about maybe an hour. If I start from scratch, and sometimes if I left everything on from the week before, maybe they still apply. Maybe I don't have to adjust much. So it gets done pretty quickly.
Well, I done made 30 pips on Euro Yen in the Asian market.
You're trading, eh?
I just forgot that I even done it. I was testing something a while ago, and I clicked it, and I made 40 pips or 38 pips.
Well, there you go. At first, guys, don't do what Rev is doing. Don't trade on Sunday night. You can, but there's not much volume. There's not much happening, and you don't even know where the market wants to head for the week. So,
I got lucky on that because the range just happened to pop up there, and it's nosedive. I got lucky. Don't do what I done.
And the other thing on Sundays is when the market reopens, you see here I have an indicator for my spread on my chart. Well, that means 0.2 pips. So I always take a decimal point. My broker is really, really tight on their spreads. But I do pay a small commission, but it's what they call a true ECN account. So it's a non-dealing desk. They don't take my trade. They don't keep my trade on their books. They pass it along to the markets and to institutions. So they're not going to trade against me. And that's what you want in the broker. If your broker is not a true ECN, or they're trading against you, or they have a dealing desk, probably want to look for another broker if you have the choice. Sometimes in the US, it's a bit harder. You don't have as much choice. But yeah, so you see here the euro yen, my spread is 0.3 right now. Well, on Sunday night, that when it opens, that can jump to 10 pips, 10 full pips. Like sometimes it's 10 times more. And on the currencies that move more, like the euro New Zealand and the pound New Zealand, those can jump to 20, 30, 40 pips when it opens. And that happens also every time at every day at 5 Eastern time, called market fix or market changeover. So for a few minutes, the market kind of closes and reopens right up. But because there's so many orders and not a lot of volume, sometimes the spreads will go to 20, 30, 40 pips. So you want to be aware of that, because if you are in an existing position and let's say you're in the trade and you're only 10 pips away from your stop loss, well, if the spread goes to 20 pips, your stop loss is going to get kicked in, and doesn't really mean that the price went there. It's just because of the wider spread, the market was there for maybe a few seconds, a few minutes. The widening spreads last for normally half an hour to an hour. So either at that time you want to close your positions before that happens. But if you really want to stay in the trade, and you're confident about your setup, just widen your stop at least before that time. It's not very good anyways to trade with too tight of stops, because you're just going to keep getting kicked out. So yeah, as far as timing, so euro yen, what do we see here? Again, not trending. I don't think there's much stuff trending right now. It's mostly sideways moves. Now, big sideways moves up and down, but nothing in a real nice trend. So this one here, we did have like a slope break maybe last week. I think we were actually in this trade, but we didn't keep it long enough. So you see, this was a very nice, clean setup, multiple touches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on a 4 hour. Now this is a trade that you can wait for 2 weeks before it happens. You see here, we had our trend line from this point on. And look at how long it lasted and just continued up. Now it doesn't mean you can't trade it up in the meantime, but if you're looking for the break of that line, that's how long it can take. So from this point on here, or this point on, I mean, it went to the top in 84 candles of 4 hours. Now, there's 6 every day. So that's 14 days, 2 weeks. And that's more than 2 weeks, because there's only really 5 or 6 trading days in a week, because the weekend it's closed. And then it took a few days from the high to go break the line, and then give you a pullback, depending on how you want to enter. But yeah, if I do that, then like this here, like here we had a perfect example of move from the highs, break the line, break your slope, and then we go to the PSR. We try to wick through it a few times. I'll try to zoom in here. Right, we wick through it a few times. It gets rejected. Makes a pullback, goes right to the next PSR and the 382, so the first fib. That's somewhat important, and then makes its way down. Then after that, bear flag, pull flag, all the way down. We're still going. Now it may be close to over, and if we're seeing the same thing as we saw in the pound yen, for example, because the yen is still in there, maybe we have an opportunity here as well for a potential reversal. This one here is further away. So you see here, I'm drawing this trend line. I am not sure if it's going to be a wedge or something. I can try the other trend line on the bottom and see how it lines up. So that's either a broadening wedge, or I need to figure out if I have a parallel channel, or I need to anchor somewhere else, right? So that's sometimes how you play around with it to see where it could prove you that it's right. So I could do this. Now, I do like to take the whole back leg of the pattern, but in this case, I don't know if I'm right because I don't have a heart line on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to TradingView because we have it on there. Come on. Remove all my tools. I can either use the parallel channel tool. It's not right. Or I could also use the trend tool, but it's not really a trend, it's too steep. So if I do this, I'm cutting off the bottoms. But guys, if you use the magnet, it's gonna even though the line doesn't seem like it's making it there. Come on. Yeah, even though it doesn't seem like it's making there, it's still lining it up. And if you want to prove that, you can just go in your format, extend it to the left, and you'll see that it does line up with my bottom here. Now, does that help you prove that this is the right way to draw it? Yes, look at those touches on the heart line. Now, if you didn't have this tool, you could have drawn a falling wedge, a tighter parallel channel, and thought that this was absolutely the bottom, where this could be the bottom 50% and you're just missing it. But this is the safest way. And once again, unless we really want to play this to the downside, the very important part is the top slope, not the bottom one. But still, this helps you prove what you're looking at. Then we had what on there? Our fibs. You can write this one down too. So you see, so I just told my buddy here to write this one down. So we're going to write everything that we see and where we might be able to enter something, why we're potentially looking at this trade. So is it oversold? Do we see divergence? We also will plan, for example, as you can see here, just to show you an example. So I had this written down. Now I need to reevaluate those there, so don't necessarily take those for granted. But for example, EuroCAD short was a pull trade to the first TP at 1.52, second take profit at 1.5080. My whole trade is planned. That's what we mean by having a plan. And when I enter it, I'm also going to have a stop loss. And according to my stop loss and my potential take profits, I'm going to calculate my risk to reward, or my reward to risk. And if the trade doesn't make sense, I don't take it. And I know ahead of time where I'm headed. And because I have all my fibs and all that on my chart, my PSRs here, if for example, we're taking a reversal trade on this one as well, do you think that when it turns around and hits this here, that I'm going to be worried about my long trade? No, I'm expecting that each fib it hits, it's going to have or show some sort of potential obstacle. So having your things well drawn out with all the information on there can also help you have a little bit more confidence in your trade. Because a lot of people, they'll get into a good trade and basically it goes up in your favor for a little while. And then as soon as it turns around and you don't know why, you panic and you close your trade. Well, having the right levels on your chart, the fibs, the PSRs, and all those things, or even square ups like we looked at, those are also things that we could add on the chart, on the 1 hour chart. And that would help you feel all right if the price comes up here and hits the fib and pulls back a little bit. You know, well, okay, yeah, they're probably just resisting there a bit and then probably will break out. The 23.6 is not significant whatsoever, but they will often just either pause that for a shorter time candle, or they'll pause that, pull back a little bit, recoil, and then push through it. But each time you hit a level like this, if you have it set on your chart, it's not just you're there panicking, wondering what's happening and why it may be pausing there or turning there a little bit. So that's very important to have all your things on your chart. So in this case, for example, an easy target in this case would be the 1 year here is a bit too close. If we want to reverse this whole trend, likelihood that by the time we reverse here, it won't be oversold, overbought. We won't see any divergences. It hasn't reached higher PSRs. It hasn't reached our higher fibs. So here we see there's an era of confluence of PSRs, some shorter term ones, and then a 1 year one. And just above it are 618. Now, could that be a nice little target? Yeah, for sure. And that's a pretty big trade from where we're at right now to that just before. There's about 160, 170 pips. If you're trading a mini lot, which is 0.10, that's a $160 move, and you need about $20 to control that type of trade, that size of trade in your account. If you have 500 to 1 leverage, if you have less leverage, it'll take you a little bit more. But you shouldn't take that trade if that's all you have, like, because if it goes against you and you only have $200 in the account, then you could also lose $166, and that's way too much risk. So always make sure that you calculate your risk, and that's usually why we tell you to start with the micro lots, and then double your account. Start with the minimum account and double it, and then after that, try to work through it and increase your size slowly. So similar setup here as pound yen, if you ask me. The ATR on here is about 76 pips, but if you look at the pound yen, 122. So this one's going to move a lot more, and the pound yen pulls back a lot more. So a little bit tougher to trade. And the pounds in general are tougher to trade. But if you master them, that's also where the biggest rewards are, right? So any questions about that so far?
No.
Joe Rea, when you said working trend on a daily, is that euro yen? I just saw your message here. That's probably way back. It's half an hour ago, I think. I talked too much. Pound yen. So you would have it on a working trend going upwards. Yeah. The topping formation here is weird, though. Let me see. I'll do it on I can open up my ProAct charts too. These are ProAct charts, guys, by the way. ProAct traders, you've seen a few of their free videos on here for things like the square up, the pole trade, things like that. Pablo, a bit of educational stuff. So those are their proprietary charts, proprietary trading platform. If ever you're interested in going to try them out, do a trial, I can hook you up. I can refer you. Pablo, very good analysts, very good tools, very good teachers. Scott's probably the best teacher that I've ever seen in this industry, and Joe's attesting to that there. But yeah, a little bit expensive course, a little bit expensive trading platform. Like if you're just starting out, it's probably not going to be worthwhile. But if you can afford it, and it is a good program. Although we're showing you a lot of the same teachings here. We don't go into their proprietary trading techniques, but a lot of the basic stuff we'll cover here anyways. So yeah. So pound yen, do. Oh, I'm on a 10-minute. So here they have a 10-minute chart, which I find is really nice. But I have it as a custom indicator on my trading view as well, which if you have a paid version, you can set up. This looks weird, my Joe. And since when do we do trends on a daily? I'm just trying out a few things here. I don't know if you have a picture, a screenshot of it, you can always go on the Discord if you have it opened. I think you're in there. And we could share it in Forex Traders chat. If anything, we might have had a big rising wedge, but it would be broken. Something like that here. Like fake out the first time, go back in, get squeezed a little bit more, and that would be a huge potential trade though.
It looks like a falling wedge now if you go on the 4 hour.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with the daily. It's going to look a lot different.
Yeah.
Yeah, here would be like that's like 1,000 pip trade. That's a lot of pips. Lots of money. Lots of money.
There'd be 10,000 on a whole lot. Yeah.
What?
1,000 pips would be 10,000 on a whole lot.
Oh no, it's going to be much more than that, my friend.
Yeah.
On a full standard lot, each pip would be worth $10.
Yes, that's 10,000 on 1,000 pips.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
You are right. Yeah, so I'm not sure. And on the 4 hour, if we look at this way. Yeah, Joe, did you join our Discord platform? I think he just posted it. Yeah, so Joe just posted his chart. Oh, so you're going down. I thought it was upwards. That's why I didn't make sense to me. But then that's within a sideways box as well, which is kind of what I was seeing a little bit more. And it goes hand in hand with what we've been seeing all over the place in the market. Nothing trending too much. It's mostly just some sideways boxes. Yeah, so that either we get to the bottom of the box and turn back around, but that's still a few hundred pips. But if Joe has the downtrend correctly, we could have done a 1. Maybe I could wait. I'll put that on my chart here. Yeah, so from this could be the 1 first wave, 2 wave, and then break the slope of the second wave, and then on the way down. And to do a third wave, it can't be your shortest wave, so it would have to go down further than this low, which makes it a great trade. Now, if we go see anything here on the 1 hour, we're already seeing divergence. Oversold on the 4 hour. And this, my friends, may be a tweezer bottom. So, yeah, I don't know. I certainly wouldn't be selling into that. I'm not saying I need to be buying right now either. We could just wait to see if it breaks. It could also just move sideways until the side of the channel, give it a bit of room on the RSI, and then give it a pull, maybe a pull trade, and then make another move down. So that one we'll have to wait. I can put an alert here anyways, but I'll go the 1 hour. There. So that's about it for me right now. And as we do those more often, guys, when you guys get used to doing this, and we might do those on cryptos as well, like maybe in the evenings throughout the week or on weekends, whatever, when there's not too much Forex. Forex, I normally just do one big charting session before the week or as the week is starting. And after that, I just manage it as I go along. But cryptos, maybe we could do like Monday night or on a Friday night, whatever. We could do it a few times a week and just do a session like this, maybe with the top 10, 20 cryptos or whatever, or do a survey throughout the day and whatever you guys want to see. We pick the ones that are most asked and we cover those. So that's what I see for that for now. On a daily, Joe, as well. I don't know if you. I don't remember. Did I give you that indicator at all? The PZ support and resistance. I don't think we could do it back then. Oh yeah, you have that, but I think you bought it, right? But anyways, yeah, right now, as you can see, right on the daily at the 5-year PSR. Now, if we break through that, next support on the daily is right here at the double bottom for a 3-year thick PSR. And if we go see the 4 hour, right now we're stuck between two. And then the next one is about the same place as the other one that we saw on the daily chart. Yeah. So yeah, just gonna wait and see for that one. Euro yen, pretty similar, and that's probably going to be guided by what happens with the yens this week. Aussie US, so AUD USD if you're looking for it. Now that's another more like smaller or an easier moving currency. So if you're looking to start trading and you don't want to take too much risk, this is a nice little currency to start with. It has an ATR right now on the 14-day average of 60 pips. So it's pretty easy to trade. Now it also won't give you those 100, 200 pips per day moves. Joe is asking what the other indicator was on my chart. It's the ATB Sniper indicator. It's from a company called Trading Strategy Guides. And the folder that I sent in Forex Traders Chat, the zip file that's sitting there just before your chart, you can download it. It has all my indicators in there, including the paid ones, and you can try them out. So yeah, ATB Sniper, yeah, it finds kind of a triangles. I'll load it back on. It'll give you signals, and then depending on which risk to reward you want to take, it'll of course it gives you a stop loss, and then according to the reward to risk ratio that you want to use, it'll give you a take profit target. Now the take profit target has nothing to do with the technicals, like the PSRs or the fibs. It's just a calculation of where they think your stop loss should be according to the signal. And the way it's set up, and then it multiplies that by however much you want for your reward to risk ratio. The default on it is 3-to-1. What the template that I shared might have it as 5-to-1, and so that's what you would have seen here. So, for example, last week I'd have given you this signal here: stop loss at this line, take profit at this line for a 5-to-1, and as you can see, started going down, never even made a pullback, and went for 124 pips, which for this currency, which is a 60 pip ATR, is basically two days worth of ATR straight down. So pretty big, yes, for Aussie US, and that was all caused by the US index going crazy last week again, and the Aussie having a hard time with their economy. So. But yeah, beautiful move, easy move, 120 pips, and 10 or 11 candles of 4 hours. So a little bit less than 2 days. Like some people can make their whole week with that. If you traded a full lot, that's quite a. So yeah, so what's on it right now? Here I see some sort of a flag. Adjust it a little bit. This is why I prefer drawing my flags and my trend tools on TradingView now, because I have all the heart lines and all those things, and I can put an alert on it if I define it and I want to use it as a setup. As far as a potential pullback, this would be the last little leg down. So we did have a 786. So that would be enough of a pullback for me to be comfortable potentially re-entering a short if it does break that. Now, if it does break the parallel channel, we have the risk of running into a 1-year PSR right here. So is that enough of a space for me? Probably not. I would probably wait that it crosses here, and here I have a lot of empty space, right? So here I have 120 pips or so. That's a pretty good trade. That's how I'll leave that one. I'll go put my Aussie US. Now I think, yeah, so you see here, this is from Friday. Aussie USD, 4-hour bear flag, and PSR break to downside. Also a fib pullback trade after 786 reach. You see, I erased everything and I just did it again and saw the same exact thing. It's not because I remembered what I had written down, just this is what it is. So then I have also would be crossing the even 0.75 level. So remember the options contract. So I have my first potential target at the 1.270 fib extension. And then I was going to develop it further depending on what I saw. So as you can see, my first target, the 1.270, that would be an easy trade from a fib pullback. And potentially the other fib extensions are very doable as well, if not the next PSR. And if we want to see if there's other PSRs between that, maybe like more in the 1 hour, in the shorter time frame, we could drop down and go see. So 6 days probably coincides with the 1 year that we had seen, but then there's nothing in sight on the 1 hour that could. So what I'll do is I'll go to my trading view. Aussie USD. And I want to use potential flag. Now this is slightly different because it's not the same exchange, but it'll be close enough. And guys, what do we have here? Head fake. Head fake. So people that are waiting just here to with a pending entry order without a confirmation of the breakout, they just get kicked in. Stop loss is probably somewhere around here, and they get kicked out. That's why normally you want to wait for confirmation. Or see here as well, what they did is there was a previous low, a swing low here. They went to test it, got kicked right back in. So you want to be careful with those. But I'll add an alert again on the channel. Exiting channel. Good. And that's it. Goes my alerts. Did it go? Yes, it did. Okay. Now, I can see too, I probably had a falling wedge. Yeah, not the cleanest setup, but it's there, especially at the end. But maybe it was just due for a pullback in that little portion here, which we saw it did. Other than that, the wedge is not really from here. It's really at the end there. It just so happens that the line here lines up as well. But if it would be really a nice wedge from here, I'd have to fib that and see if that could continue upwards. Right now, for me, it looks more like a bear flag. But as you can see, we're not yet overbought in the 4 hour. Starting to go down in the MACD. And how do we look on the 1 hour? And I did put my alert on the 4 hour, so I'm going to erase it there. Oh, it said it was on the 1 hour anyways. There. Now I'll put my fib on here as well to make sure that if I go from chart to chart, I still understand what's happening and what my targets might be. And what you guys can do as well is if you want to transport your PSRs, because they won't do them automatically on your trading view, if you don't want to have the two systems open at the same time or whatever, you can have them on one screen and the other on the other screen or whatever. But depending on how you want to do it, what you could do is you could identify the exact level where the PSR is, which is if you scroll over it, it'll tell you. So 0.7642, for example, and you can go on your chart on TradingView and put a horizontal line right at that level. So for example, if I do it in this case with my next, so I have one at 0.7501, and then the next one at 0.7371. So here, 73.71. Whoops. There. So we could put them a different color. Usually we put the magenta for PSRs. Come on. You can. I use the horizontal array because I don't need it to go all the way through the left, but you can do it if you want to see it line up with the previous swing highs and or supports and resistance levels. Okay, So that's another tip there. So we have our alert. We're good to go on that one. We'll do a few more, but I'm going to have to get going soon if I want to get to bed and get up for London. So we'll do the US yen. It's a popular one to trade. Just give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Yes, Joe, the PZ support and resistance works real well. I mean, we had checked that quite extensively in the past. The 1 hour not as much, but the big 4 hour ones, they're really, really good. They can, like, if you're just looking for wide open spaces to trade, you can just use that. They're really, really good. US yen. Take that off. I don't need that. So you see here, guys, once again, this line is easy, but where do I put my other one is a bit iffy. Now I can put it tight, but basically I'm coming to anchor. So I'm excluding this, which could just be a head fake, which is fine. But then I'm not using my whole back leg here, or even this whole thing, to kind of anchor this. Now, we had also talked about potentially this being like a 1, 2, 3 wave, and having done just our 4th here, it would follow the Elliott wave rules, which is your second wave can't come back further than the start of wave 1. The third wave can't be shorter than the shortest wave, and then wave 4 cannot come back into wave 1. So now, is it the nicest trend and the nicest Elliott wave I've seen? No, but that could be a possibility, which would mean if this is the end of 4, if this is really the bottom of our trend, this could be the start or about to start a wave 5 to the upside. And if you want a hint of that, you want to go see the dollar index and what it's doing. If this turns down, probably the US yen is not going to be able to sustain. It might break down to the channel that we had just seen. Now, if what happens is it just moves sideways here and remains or keeps its strength, what could happen is if we go on a weekly to see our big support and resistances, I'll show you something here. And these are big, big, big levels, guys. Like these are weekly levels, weekly candles. And you can see here, we had broken, like we had respected the 12-year and the 15-year levels a few times. When we broke through them, we came right back to test them. And last week, the week before, we broke through the 12-year PSR again. And the next one would be to go back to the 15-year here, which is a huge move for the DXY, especially considering that it already did all this here in 2-3 weeks. And even on the daily, it still has quite a room to go before reaching the next PSRs, which in this case, we have 2 almost on top of each other. So that could be the next potential stop for the DXY. If that's the case, then there's no reason why the US yen couldn't make a 5th leg higher and maybe reach for this 1-year PSR. Now, if we want to see if this lines up with fib extensions, what do? We put our fib on there for the last leg. Oh, well, guard on it. the fib extensions right in the same area. So you can use the confluence of that for your targets if that's what it does. Then what we can do is we can also add a slope. Now the slope would probably be broken already. Yeah, I tried a few times. Right, never really went. So yeah, right now it's basically wait and see. Do we break to the upside, or do we break to the downside here? And it's Sunday night, right? So they're gonna have to decide that tonight and tomorrow, and then we play it off that move according to that throughout the rest of the week. So I'll go here.
Hey, I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. So you see here, I already had it done. And instead of only being able to use my parallel channel like I had earlier and think this was the trend, I did use the whole back leg as I was saying. And it gives me the same bottom line, but it gives me a heart line touch here, some heart line touches here, and then some zone 1 and 2 touches right in the middle. So it could be that when we turn, we could go in the second half of this trend here. I had tried it a few different ways. I had tried this. That could have worked as well. So there's a few ways we could have done it. Now, once again, this or the other version still gives us plenty of room, and we would probably hit our double top and then our fib extensions and PSR before we need to be worried about the potential. You can see here, this is just the hard line on the other version here. So yeah, not too worried about how this is drawn, but what I am interested in is adding a break, an alert on the break of that. Now I don't think we can do that on the fib channel. There's no alerts on that. So what I do when that happens is I just draw an additional trend line on top of it. And then I just do an alert on the trend line. And if you wanted to do that on both sides, you could draw 2 trend lines on each side or 1 on each side and then put an alert. There. Let's see here. I had 2 others that we didn't cover here, so I'll just cover those and then we'll call it a day or a night. So EuroCAD. So here I had a simple pull trade. So impulse move down, sideways consolidation. Normally those are continuation patterns, but if we look on this one, and guys, if you're going to trade the CAD, you always want to check oil. The Canadian dollar is affected mostly by the oil prices, so you need to check oil. Oil, normally you check it with WTI, that's West Texas Intermediate. It's the oil that's produced in the US. So that's usually what we use to keep an eye out on that. I didn't really see it as much here. That was a 4-hour. Yeah, so it could just be that it's starting now still to just form the pole or the bear flag. and it was all oversold. We had bullish divergence, so we might even want to look at that going upwards. And by the way, look here, like I had fibbed this for a retracement, which we got 786, almost at the 886, and then where did we go? Right to our fib extensions. Didn't make it quite to the last one, the 1618, but we did make it to the 1.270 and the 1.414. Fibs don't work, right? So now I'm pretty sure that those could be taken off because they've been reached. And then I could just do that, fib again. If for some reason we do make it upwards, I'll be able to see where it could stop, maybe take a pullback trade down to the bottom, do some fib extension work again, see the target's already there. Or if I want to play it to the upside. If it stays this formation, it's still a continuation formation, so I'd be wary to play it to the upside just yet. But depending on what it shows us here in the next few candles or into tomorrow, it might become interesting. But yeah, so far I had it as a bearish continuation pattern, and I believe like this is the blog that Scott and Pro Traders puts out. If you go follow their Facebook page, I think they put it out for free every week. They normally put it out on Saturday or Sunday. It's got a few setups in here. So they were looking at the US yen and see the Aussie US, which we also watched earlier. But other than that, they're not looking at EuroCAD. But yeah, good practice to go see some pros drawing there as well. So yeah. So that, no, but I meant that, I know Pablo does EuroCAD, Joe, but I meant that it wasn't in the blog opportunities that they had spotted. Oh, it's not posted, but he has it on the lookout. When do they do their weekly reviews or their weekly charting session? It used to be Sunday night. Did you check? Did you check if they do it on Friday now? Okay. Anyways, I'll ask him. Yeah, so far, that's pretty much it for US CAD. We could see how we had a huge triangle. But all sorts of big moves that we can play in the Forex, guys, like slope breaks all the time, wedges, fib pullbacks. And when people tell you that cryptos are more volatile, they are in a sense of percentage terms. But when you add the amount of currency that you're actually trading, you can make more money with less in Forex. And it's a more structured market. It's more liquid. So not saying you have to leave cryptos behind, but it's another tool, and it doesn't necessarily have to take you a long time. Like if you trade off 4-hour candles or a 4-hour time frame, you just need to check these charts a few times a day. If at that, if you're organized with your alerts, or you know that certain currency pairs don't have interesting setups this week, don't even bother. Like have a short list, check those every 4 hours. That's 6 times a day, and 1 or 2 of those candles are going to be sleeping, hopefully. So you don't need to be at it all the time. Or even if you wanted to trade on the daily, if you have a job or if you want to be more active in cryptos on the daily, every day at 5 Eastern time, PM, you're going to get another candle close, and you make a decision on if anything changed that day, and you can make pretty big trades. Now, like look at this here, just from the top, a clear rejection at a 4-year PSR, and then what do? We go right to the bottom here at the next 6-year PSR. Now there was a few in between, but never anything of like, if you wish, a reversal candlestick formation. No bullish engulfing pattern, no morning star, none of those on the way down at the PSR levels. The first one was here, and then it created your morning star reversal formation, then gave you a nice big bullish engulfing candle, another one, and another one. Where are we going? We're going up. But just to illustrate this, I mean, you get in at this point. This is a rejection wick, followed by a doji, followed by a big bearish candlestick that is called an evening star formation. And when it's done well like that, especially right off a PSR, you can be pretty sure that it's a good sign and a good probability that we're reversing. So if I calculate just this until the first sign here that we had to get out, that's 50 days, but that's 896 pips, or 886, sorry. So if somebody traded a full lot, a full standard lot at $10 a pip, that's $8,860, almost 10 grand in 50 days. And if you have the leverage that we have, it doesn't mean that you should only have that amount of money in your account to do this trade, but you can control a full standard lot with $200. And even if you need $2,000, if it's an $8,000 trade, you're still quadrupling your return on equity on a trade like this. Now it does take 50 days. Who wouldn't take 10 grand in 2 months, right? Or even 3 months for that matter. And that's just quite a small trade. Or you could do it smaller and do minis if you can't afford to do standard lots or if it's too much risk, and you'll make $886. You can even do a micro, and that'll be almost $90. And this is one trade on one currency pair, but there's plenty on other currency pairs as well. Like if I back up on the pound Aussie, there's probably some similar ones there. From here to here, pretty much straight down. And there's even opportunities in there to add on the pullbacks, to add to your position on pullbacks between the PSRs with fib pullbacks. Pull back to 50, the PSR, and down we go again. But just here, that's pound Aussie moves a lot more than what we looked at earlier. So just from here to here, we're talking about almost 1,500 pips in 76 days. Now, I don't know about you, but you can tell me, you can all tell me that cryptos are volatile, and sometimes they are. But if you could control a full lot here, that's a $15,000 move on $200 worth of margin requirement in 76 days. That's quite a bit of return on equity. Even in the best days of cryptos, yeah, that's 750%. Or no, it's 75 times. So it's 75 times 100. So 7,500% on what you had to have in your account to do this trade and what it could have done for you. So that's how the leverage comes into play. And if you have less leverage, that's fine, and you're not going to risk your whole account in a trade like this. That's not what we're saying. We're just trying to explain the potential for some of these trades. And as you can see, a lot of these currencies, like this currency, moves about 130 pips every day. Every day. If you were to trade a mini on your account, and you'd be able to guess the direction this currency goes into every day, you could stand to make 100 or $200 every day. And that's on one currency pair. There's a bunch. I have 20 loaded here. Now, are we saying that you should be looking for a good trade in each currency pair? No, there's probably only maybe a few good setups every day, especially on the shorter time frames. And if you trade on the daily, like I said earlier, there might be a lot of nights when you get home to do your trading and there's just nothing there. You'll have to wait. But those are strategies that you can use while you're still working, still building a portfolio, and not taking too much risk and not worrying too much about it every 10 minutes. So I think those are the charts that I'm going to go through tonight, because we covered a lot more beforehand, but normally we could do this pretty quickly as we get used to it as a group. I'm sure we can get this done pretty easily in an hour or two. So you guys still awake there, or?
Yep.
So how'd you find this?
Very helpful.
Okay. Any questions, any concerns?
No, just trying to take it all in.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot at first, right? Your brain's gonna be like mush after a session like this. But yeah, just give yourself time. You're just starting, so no worry. You have the rest of your life to be a trader.
That's what I got the demo account for.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, in the demo account, don't be scared. Try things. Click on the buttons. That's where we want you to click on the buttons. When you move to a real account, that's where we'll say, don't always click on the button. Try to hold off clicking on the button and be patient. But right now, the demo, that's the place to try things out. Press on everything, on every type of order. Try to figure things out in size, how much the pips are worth. You can go back in time and see what kind of moves you can observe or profit from. All sorts of things you can do. So I think that's going to be it. If there's not more questions, and just if you want to follow a bit more the Forex side, just always make sure to keep an eye out on the Forex traders chat down at the bottom of the server. I'll try to post as I write down a setup for myself. I'll try to write it there. That's also in the Forex traders talk there, the voice section of things. That's where me and Rev normally hang out while we do the London trading session. Sometimes we're just me and him. But yeah, you can come and listen. Normally it's all business there, so we try to focus and we're not chit-chatting too much. And yeah, sometimes we have time to talk to you about other stuff during those sessions, but more often than not, it's just us working, and you guys can listen how it goes. And if we spot a trade and we tell each other, you'll be able to hear it. Probably at first, I would advise maybe not to take the trades just like that, because you won't understand what we're doing, and you might not even understand how to manage it as we would after the fact. But it's still, for most, interesting. We've had a few people in here that have dropped by during the sessions, and they just sit there and listen. And as you get more accustomed to the platforms and the trading markets in that regards, you'll be able to follow along a little bit more. So I'll stop the recording, and that's going to be it for this evening. Let's see. Stop recording.
I think